So today we're going to unpack a scenario set just a couple of years from now in 2026. It's a hypothetical crisis, sure, but one that's deeply researched, brewing in the high north, and it could literally shake the Western alliance to its core. And it all centers on one massive ice-covered island, Greenland. Okay, let's just jump right in. Picture this. It's January 2026, and a bombshell drops. The United States government announces it's hitting 8 of its closest allies. We're talking Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland, with crippling economic tariffs. Now, these aren't rivals. These are the very bedrock of the NATO alliance. Which, of course, brings us to the big question here. Why on earth would a superpower launch an economic war against its most important military partners? Well, the answer is complicated. It's aggressive, and it's something that has been years in the making. To really get how we ended up here, we have to trace how this idea even started. Because, this didn't just pop up overnight. It began as something a lot weirder. In this timeline, it really shows you how this whole thing snowballed. You go back to 2019, and the idea of the US buying Greenland was kind of laughed off as a big real estate deal. But fast forward to 2025, and the language does a complete 180. Now it's suddenly a vital national security necessity. So what changed? Well, it seems a successful solo military operation in Venezuela in early 2026 really emboldened the administration, making them think, hey, we can and maybe we should just go it alone. And that thinking leads us right here to these punitive tariffs. Okay, so you have to wonder, what's the justification for a move this extreme? The US administration is arguing that this isn't about grabbing land, it's about survival. And it all comes down to one absolutely massive military project. And that project is called Golden Dome. Think of it as the ultimate defensive shield. It's a system designed to make North America completely impenetrable to missile attacks from rivals like Russia and China. We're talking about one of the most ambitious defense projects ever even imagined. And of course, it comes with an equally ambitious price tag, $175 billion. That number alone should tell you everything you need to know about how important this is to the Pentagon. This isn't some side project, right? This is a massive generational strategic priority. So this is where it gets really interesting, because this table breaks down exactly why Greenland is so non-negotiable for this plan. You have to remember, the Arctic is the shortest path for a missile coming from Russia or China. So, for every piece of this Golden Dome system, from satellite command to hypersonic interceptors to underwater sub-tracking, Greenland is absolutely critical. And you can see the pattern here. The geopolitical implication is always the same. The US believes it needs total sovereign control. Just having a base there isn't enough anymore. But look, this isn't just about missile defense. There's a huge economic security angle here, too. Greenland is basically a treasure trove of rare earth elements, which are crucial for everything from our phones to advanced weapons. So controlling Greenland is seen as the ultimate power move to finally cut the West's dependency on China for these critical minerals, and at the same time, block both Beijing and Moscow from getting an economic foothold in the Arctic. Okay, so we've got the why. Now let's talk about the how. Because the US isn't just asking nicely here. They're rolling out a multi-front pressure campaign designed to completely break their allies' will. And their main weapon? Well, you can see it right here. Pure economic warfare. It's an escalating timeline of extortion. The clock starts ticking on February 1st with a 10% tariff on everything. The only way to stop it? Start talking about handing over Greenland. If that doesn't work, the screws get tightened on June 1st. The tariffs jump to a devastating 25%, and the only off-ramp is a complete and total agreement to sell the island. The second weapon is political, and this quote really says it all. The US is basically rewriting the rules of the alliance in real time. They're arguing that NATO is only effective if it serves US strategic needs. Any pushback, even from an ally like Denmark trying to hold on to its own territory, is just flat out unacceptable. It's a barely veiled threat. Get in line, or we might just rethink this whole NATO thing. But this might be the most shocking tactic of all. There are reports of a plan to just bypass the Danish government completely and offer direct cash payments, anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000, to every single one of Greenland's 57,000 citizens.
They're calling it an annexation stimulus package, and the goal is as blunt as it gets: to financially engineer a pro-U.S. secessionist movement from the inside out.
So, you've got this incredible pressure campaign from the US, but what's happening on the other side of the Atlantic? How is Europe handling this? I mean, they're stuck in a truly impossible position here. Well, on the surface, their first move is to show they're all in this together. Key European nations launch Operation Arctic Endurance, which is basically a series of joint military exercises in the region. The message they're trying to send is clear. A threat to Denmark's sovereignty is a threat to all of Europe.
But here's the thing. The American pressure is surgically designed to hit each country where it hurts the most. For Denmark, obviously, the risk is existential. It's about their sovereignty. For neighbors like Norway and Sweden, it's about the direct military threat of a hyper-militarized Greenland on their doorstep. For the EU powerhouses, Germany and France, it's a threat to their economic leadership and the very legal principles the EU is built on. And for the UK, it creates this agonizing choice between its special relationship with America and its solidarity with Europe.
And really, when you strip it all away, Europe's argument comes down to this one powerful principle, captured in this joint statement. The idea that borders are inviolable is a universal rule. It doesn't just go away when a bigger, more powerful ally wants something. It's a line in the sand. And this is where you get this crazy diplomatic feedback loop. Europe sees Arctic Endurance as a totally defensive show of solidarity, a stand for international law. But the U.S. administration spends it completely differently. They point to it as proof that the Arctic is dangerously unstable, which, in their view, justifies their own aggression and more tariffs. It's a total catch-22. You know, at the end of the day, this whole crisis is about so much more than just Greenland or even NATO. The way this gets resolved could set a powerful new precedent for the entire world. And that clock is ticking down fast. That June 1st deadline, when the tariffs could jump to 25%, that's the big one. Analysts are calling it the point of no return. If things go south, we could be looking at what's being called an incurable rupture in the relationship between America and Europe. And the fallout from that, it would be global. I mean, think about it. If the US can do this for national security, what's to stop Russia from making a similar claim on Norway's Svalbard Islands? It completely guts the West's moral authority when it tries to condemn aggression somewhere else. It redefines an alliance as just a transaction, and it sends a really chilling message that in the end, the sovereignty of an ally is completely expendable. Which really leaves us with one final stark question. In this new world of rising global threats and great power competition, is the sovereignty of your closest ally a sacred principle you defend to the end? Or is it just another asset with a price tag?